Imagine, if you dared, plunging into the inky blackness of the ocean's abyss. Who knows what wonders or horrors await? For centuries, legends have whispered of colossal sea monsters lurking in the crushing depths: the kraken, a beast of nightmare proportions; the elusive Loch Ness monster; the many-headed hydra; the biblical leviathan. Of course, concrete evidence of such creatures remains elusive. Yet, the ocean depths teem with real-life enigmas, bizarre and often gigantic animals that defy our expectations. Consider the colossal squid, Mesonychoteuthis hamiltoni, from the sub-Antarctic waters. This behemoth dwarfs its relative, the arrow squid near New Zealand, reaching lengths up to 14 times greater. And in the deepest trenches of the Pacific, we find sea sponges, like the Monorhaphis chuni, that can grow to the size of a minivan. Our oceans are vast, holding roughly 96.5% of all water on Earth. Astonishingly, up to 80% of all life discovered on our planet resides beneath the waves. But here's a sobering thought. We have explored, mapped, and even seen less than 20% of this underwater realm. We possess more detailed maps of Mars than we do of our own ocean floor. The challenges are immense. The pressure at these depths is mind-boggling, capable of exerting a force equivalent to holding nearly 50 Boeing 747 jumbo jets. And the temperature? Brutally, perpetually cold. Life in this extreme environment demands adaptation. And for many creatures, that adaptation has led to gigantism. This phenomenon, known as deep-sea gigantism, is a direct response to the unique conditions of the abyss. As sunlight fades with increasing depth, temperatures plummet. This, in turn, can lead to increased cell size and extended lifespans. Furthermore, deep-sea creatures often contend with lower oxygen levels compared to their shallow-water counterparts. Food is scarce. What little there is often trickles down from the sunlit zones above. In such a challenging world, being large offers significant advantages. Larger animals can travel greater distances in search of sustenance. Their metabolism tends to be slower, allowing them to digest food more efficiently, store energy, and endure prolonged periods without food. The stable cold temperatures mean they expend less energy regulating their body heat, further conserving resources. These creatures also mature slowly, often reaching reproductive age much later than their shallow-water relatives. Many deep-sea fish species live for 30 years or more. The orange rauphie, Hoplostethus atlanticus, for example, can live up to an astounding 150 years. They can reach lengths of over 2 feet and weigh up to 1.5 tons, but it takes them centuries to reach that size. They only begin seeking mates around the age of 150. Their longevity is also aided by the relative lack of predators in the deep and the absence of human interference. The deep-sea environment is remarkably stable, leading to the persistence of what we might call living fossils. Animals that appear to have remained largely unchanged for millions of years. The uppermost 650 feet of the ocean is considered the open ocean, the sunlit zone where the majority of known marine life thrives. Descending further, we enter the twilight zone, a region of perpetual dimness. Yet, even here, at depths of around 820 feet, pockets of ancient life persist. Sea lilies, for example, have graced these depths for eons, virtually unchanged. The coelacanth, Latimeria chalumnae, another remarkable living fossil, has inhabited the oceans for over 360 million years. Hagfish, too, represent an ancient lineage, with a history stretching back over 300 million years. These eel-like creatures dwell at depths of up to 500 feet, having evolved before other vertebrates. Unique among living animals, they possess a skull, but lack jaws or a vertebral column. Deep-sea creatures are exquisitely adapted to their high-pressure environment and cannot survive in shallower waters. Their physiology has evolved to withstand immense hydrostatic pressure. Humans with our internal air-filled spaces would be crushed at such depths. That's why deep-sea divers require specialized suits designed to counteract the immense pressure, even when exploring depths far shallower than those inhabited by these deep-sea giants. Venture to Antarctica, and a bizarre phenomenon awaits us: gigantism. Here, creatures grow to colossal sizes, and it happens surprisingly close to the surface. Imagine giant sponges, sea slugs the size of dinner plates, and sea spiders that seem to defy nature. Even worms and single-celled organisms swell to enormous proportions. And the strangest thing? They often dwell in relatively shallow waters. Why does this happen? Scientists remain puzzled, but the prevailing theory centers on oxygen. These giant species consume oxygen at a snail's pace, and the Antarctic waters are brimming with it. With virtually no limit on oxygen, these animals can grow larger and larger, pushing the boundaries of what's considered normal. Now, let's descend to the inky depths. As we've discussed, deep-sea creatures have adapted to crushing pressure. They've essentially eliminated air gaps within their bodies. They are primarily water-based, and since water resists compression, it shields them from the immense forces. However, this adaptation comes at a cost. If these creatures were to ascend to the surface, they would likely swell grotesquely, perhaps even explode. Consider the blobfish, often crowned the ugliest animal in the world. In its natural habitat, deep below the surface, it appears relatively normal. But when brought to the surface, where the pressure is a staggering 120 times lower, its form transforms. The blobfish lacks a skeleton and muscles. Without the support of intense deep-sea pressure, it devolves into a flabby, amorphous mass. The abyssal depths are not only visually terrifying, but orally unsettling as well. In 1997, scientists searching for underwater volcanoes off the coast of South America recorded an extraordinarily loud and peculiar sound. Dubbed the bloop, it was so powerful that sensors over 3,000 miles away detected it. For 15 years, its origin remained a mystery. Eventually, they concluded that the sound emanated from an icequake, seismic activity fracturing frozen ground. Interestingly, the water at the ocean's bottom isn't always frigid. Hydrothermal vents dot the seafloor, spewing water that can reach a scorching 750 degrees. The immense pressure, the same force that would obliterate us, prevents this water from boiling. Thriving near these deep-sea hydrothermal vents are hundreds of unique animal species. Among them are tube worms, unlike anything we've encountered elsewhere. These worms absorb chemicals from the vent fluids, nourishing the bacteria that reside within them. In return, the bacteria provide the carbon the tube worms require to survive, a remarkable symbiotic relationship. Astonishingly, 2/3 of all known coral species inhabit the dark, frigid depths of the ocean. Some even exist at depths of nearly 10,000 feet. They endure incredibly low temperatures, as low as 28 degrees. These cold water corals can live for millennia, some exceeding 8,000 years in age. They construct magnificent structures that can tower up to 115 feet in height. The deep, then, is not merely a realm of strange and wondrous creatures. The underwater landscape is equally breathtaking. Submerged canyons dwarf even the Grand Canyon. Take, for example, the Jemchug Canyon in the Bering Sea. Its vertical relief plunges to over 8,500 feet, a truly colossal chasm. And the largest ocean waves aren't those crashing on the shore. They are internal waves, hidden beneath the surface. These waves occur at the interface between water masses of differing densities. Propelled by tremendous energy, they can travel at thousands of miles per hour and reach heights of 650 feet. The deeper you venture, the more unsettling the ocean becomes. Now, we begin our descent into the darkest depths to determine if the creatures lurking there are as frightening as legend suggests. We plunge 120 feet below the surface. Keep a watchful eye on the seabed. What's that lurking in the sand? A terrifying face partially concealed. It's the northern stargazer, Astroscopus guttatus. In the eastern United States, this fish lies in ambush, burying itself in the sand until an unsuspecting victim wanders near. Then, this nightmarish predator unleashes an electrical shock, stunning its prey before devouring it. We continue our descent, reaching 240 feet. There, we spot a vibrantly colored, puffy creature, barely a foot in length. It's the sarcastic fringehead, Neoclinus blanchardi. At first glance, it appears harmless. But appearances can be deceiving. When provoked, this fish unveils its secret weapon, an enormous mouth. It gapes wide, using this intimidating display to ward off potential predators. This defense. Imagine descending into the crushing depths of the ocean. The first remarkable sight is a peculiar hunting method, both startling and a bit unnerving. Fortunately, this fish poses absolutely no threat to us. Now, let's journey deeper to encounter a creature that thrives in the shallows, yet we find it lurking at an incredible 900 feet below the surface. There's no mystery behind the name Game of Thrones brittle star. Unlike common starfish that leisurely glide across the seabed, this creature is built for speed. It propels itself using its long, flexible arms, almost wriggling through the water to reach its destination. Its core is shielded by a robust shell of calcium carbonate. Also known as snake stars, these animals are small enough to disappear into the tiniest cracks, crevices, and rocky alcoves. Venturing further down, to a staggering 2,000 feet, we encounter the legendary giant squid, Architeuthis dux. For centuries, it was dismissed as nothing more than a myth, a sea monster of tall tales. But in 2001, the giant squid was finally captured on film, proving its existence, and it's every bit as colossal as its name suggests. This behemoth boasts eyeballs the size of soccer balls and can tip the scales at a staggering 600 pounds. Plunging to nearly 3,000 feet, another bizarre denizen of the deep emerges from the gloom. This creature, somewhat reddish in hue and no longer than a foot in length, might initially appear docile or perhaps simply indifferent to our presence. This is the vampire squid, Vampiroteuthis infernalis, an animal that resembles an umbrella adorned with tentacles. Uniquely, it doesn't even produce ink as a defense mechanism, so we'll leave it undisturbed. Shortly after, at a depth of 3,200 feet, we cross paths with the cookie-cutter shark, Icystius brasiliensis. This diminutive predator is, in fact, a parasite. It latches onto larger fish, dolphins, whales, and, on rare occasions, even humans. Then, with its impeccably organized, serrated teeth, it carves out perfectly circular, cookie-sized chunks of flesh. This sinister, glowing predator grows to no more than 20 inches in length and inhabits the ocean's twilight zone. At 3,300 feet, light becomes a precious commodity. The creatures that dwell in this perpetual darkness have evolved extraordinary adaptations to survive. The barrelfish, Macropinna microstoma, is a prime example, sporting a completely transparent head and a pair of incredibly sensitive, barrel-shaped eyes. These eyes are almost always pointed upward, scanning the waters above for potential prey. Now, nearly 4,000 feet beneath the surface, we encounter something truly peculiar. A droopy, saggy mass drifting through the water. This is the blobfish, Cycrolutes marsatus, a creature devoid of skeleton or muscle. Its gelatinous flesh allows it to withstand the immense water pressure at these depths. Despite its comical appearance, the blobfish is an ambush predator. It typically remains motionless on the seabed, patiently awaiting an unsuspecting meal to swim within reach. Weighing as much as a large dog, the blobfish presents a truly strange sight. Venturing a bit deeper, we spot a particularly ghastly creature. The goblin shark, Mitsukuri austoni, relies on its elongated snout, packed with electrosensitive organs, to detect prey. This shark's terrifying jaws are connected to highly elastic ligaments. When an unsuspecting animal ventures too close, the shark launches its mouth forward with incredible speed to snatch its prey. Imagine if your own mouth could extend nearly 7 inches to snatch a snack. Even further down, at 5,000 feet, another member of the shark family comes into view. The frilled shark, Chlamydosalacus anguineus, resembles an overgrown eel, but its gills are adorned with distinctive, frilly, red edges, hence its name. This creature's horrifying maw is lined with 25 rows of razor-sharp, backward-facing teeth, totaling around 300. The frilled shark typically hovers in the water column, patiently waiting for prey to approach. Then, it strikes with the speed and agility of a snake. Suddenly, a brilliant light pierces the darkness, resembling a glowing electric bulb. But as we draw closer, we recoil in shock. This creature resembles a nightmarish eel, equipped with oversized dagger-like teeth. This is the deep-sea dragonfish, Grammatostomia flagellibarba, a formidable predator that can survive at depths of up to 6,000 feet. Chemical reactions within the dragonfish's body produce an eerie red glow, used for communication and perhaps to lure unsuspecting victims. At the same depth, we encounter another bizarre denizen of the deep. Its most striking feature is its enormous mouth. This is the gulper eel, Eurypharynx pelechinoides, a creature capable of swallowing prey whole. Its stomach can expand to an astonishing size, allowing it to accommodate exceptionally large meals. Finally, at a depth of 6,600 feet, we come face to face with an almost comical-looking creature, complete with a built-in fishing rod extending from its head. This is the deep-sea anglerfish, Melanocetus johnsoni. This unusual appendage, present only in females, is actually a modified dorsal spine. It projects over the anglerfish's mouth and is tipped with a bioluminescent lure, a glowing beacon of flesh that attracts unsuspecting prey. The anglerfish boasts an enormous mouth and an incredibly pliable body, enabling it to imagine descending into the crushing depths of the ocean, where sunlight fades and bizarre creatures lurk. We're plunging thousands of feet below the surface, where survival demands strange adaptations. At a depth of 7,000 feet, a sinister glow catches your eye. The black dragonfish, Idiocanthus atlanticus, a truly cunning predator, displays a row of light-producing organs along its underbelly. This isn't its only trick. Gleaming flashlight-like organs sit beside its eyes, piercing the darkness to locate prey and attract a mate in this lightless realm. Deeper still, at the same crushing depth, you encounter an enormous pillbug. But this is no ordinary garden dweller. This colossal creature stretches to nearly 20 inches long. This is the giant isopod, Bathynomus giganteus, a relative of the common roly-poly, as well as crabs and shrimp. Despite their intimidating appearance, these giants are harmless scavengers, feasting only on the remains of creatures that have already passed on. As you descend to 13,000 feet, the ocean floor takes on a peculiar fluffy appearance. This is the domain of the zombie worm, Osedax, a creature that rarely exceeds 2 inches in length, yet possesses the power to break down massive carcasses. These worms secrete a potent acid, dissolving even the toughest bones. Their feathery plumes give them the appearance of strange deep-sea plants, but in reality, they are voracious scavengers consuming the bones of the largest animals on Earth, including whales. Suddenly, a bizarre fish startles you. The grid-eye fish, Ipnops murray, possesses a pair of large greenish oval plates on the top of its head, but lacks eyes altogether. Scientists believe these bony membranes act as light detectors, warning the fish of approaching predators from above, a unique adaptation for survival in the inky blackness. Now, 3 miles beneath the surface, you spot something truly strange resting on the ocean floor. It's a fish, but it's standing upright on 3 long, rigid legs. This is the tripod fish, Bathypteroi grallator, a creature more curious than frightening. Having adapted to the perpetual darkness, it has largely abandoned its sense of sight. Instead, it relies on vibrations and touch to detect its prey. With remarkable dexterity, it uses its fins-like hands to guide food directly into its mouth. Before you can descend any further, you encounter the unsettling faceless fish, Typhlonus nasus. This bizarre creature lacks visible eyes, and its mouth, positioned on the underside of its body, forms an unsettling, almost smiling expression. Officially known as the faceless cusk, this elusive fish was first observed over a century ago, with the next sighting occurring only recently, in 2017. Reaching a staggering depth of 6 miles, you encounter the deep-sea cucumber, Varius holothuriidae. These strange creatures dwarf their shallow water cousins in size. Spending most of their time crawling along the seafloor, they possess the surprising ability to swim away from predators if necessary. Their vibrant purplish hue, tiny feet, and the tentacles surrounding their mouths give them a peculiar charm. But why do these deep-sea denizens appear so alien and sometimes frightening? The answer lies in the extreme environment they inhabit. Tremendous water pressure, scarce food, and perpetual darkness demand unique adaptations for survival. Imagine a place deep within the ocean where the pressure is 1,000 times greater than what we experience at the surface. A force capable of instantly crushing an unprotected human into a cloud of dust and bone. Or perhaps more accurately, into a thick, unrecognizable sludge. This is why explorers venturing into such depths require specialized equipment and meticulous preparation to survive the extreme conditions of the Mariana Trench. This immense underwater canyon is as wide as 20 national malls in Washington, D.C., and its length is about 1/5 of the Earth's diameter. Those who have journeyed to its deepest reaches describe it as a cold, silent, and surprisingly peaceful realm. They have witnessed vibrant blankets of red and yellow rocky outcrops and encountered a diverse array of small, translucent animals, unlike anything found elsewhere on Earth. Contrary to popular belief, more people have not journeyed to the moon than to the deepest part of our planet. While 24 humans have flown to the moon, at least 27 brave souls have descended into the Mariana Trench. Most of these were explorers driven by the thrill of discovery and the desire to capture video evidence of the unique wildlife, geological formations, and even man-made objects found in this extreme environment. Interestingly, humanity began exploring space and the ocean depths around the same time. The first moon landing occurred in 1969, while the first descent into the Challenger Deep, the deepest point in the Mariana Trench, took place in 1960. This remarkable location derives its name from the British ship HMS Challenger, which first surveyed these waters, paving the way for future exploration. Imagine the late 19th century. It was then that scientists first identified the staggering chasm in the Pacific Ocean floor, the Mariana Trench. Yet, it would be another 8 decades before humankind dared to venture into its crushing depths. And when they finally did, it wasn't in a standard submarine. A specialized submersible, known as a bathyscaphe, was required for such a perilous journey. In 1953, the brilliant Swiss oceanographer Auguste Piccard designed his own. Then, a mere 7 years later, his creation achieved what many thought impossible. It plunged to nearly 36,000 feet below the surface. But what these deep-sea pioneers witnessed was just a tiny glimpse of the trench's true immensity. The sheer scale of the Mariana Trench is a primary reason why it remains largely unexplored to this day. Another significant obstacle is the total absence of light. Sunlight simply cannot penetrate to such extreme depths. The entire trench, from its lip to its deepest abyss, is shrouded in perpetual darkness. These conditions have fostered an ecosystem radically different from the sunlit regions of the Pacific. The crushing pressure at those depths places unimaginable strain on marine life. Yes, the pun is very much intended. Adding to the challenges is the frigid temperature. While fresh water freezes at 32 degrees Celsius, 0 degree K, the water at the bottom of the Mariana Trench hovers just a few degrees above that freezing point. So what prevents this region from becoming a solid block of ice? The slightly lower freezing point of salt water is one factor. The other is geothermal energy, seeping from the Earth's crust and providing just enough warmth to prevent total congelation. This is precisely why submersibles must be meticulously insulated to withstand the icy environment. Yet even in this desolate and unforgiving realm, researchers have discovered a surprising array of animal species. Arrowtooth eels, bizarre snailfish, and peculiar spoonworms have all been observed at various depths. Even stranger are the translucent sea cucumbers and shrimp-like amphipods that somehow thrive in this hostile environment. Perhaps the most astonishing discovery has been the presence of microbial mats flourishing on methane and hydrogen released from the seabed mud. Among these hardy creatures, the Mariana snailfish seems to reign supreme, venturing deeper into the trench than any other predator to seek out its prey. Despite its seemingly delicate appearance, this remarkable fish has evolved to withstand pressures that would instantly crush most other life forms, a true superpower born of necessity. The exotic life dwelling in the trench exhibits another fascinating phenomenon: deep-sea gigantism. This causes creatures to grow to sizes far exceeding their counterparts in shallower waters. The giant tube worm, for example, can reach an astounding length of 6 feet. While science struggles to pinpoint the exact cause of this gigantism, thermal vents are among the leading explanations. All these factors help to explain the immense gaps in our exploration of the Mariana Trench. Decades passed after the initial 1960 expedition before another successful dive occurred. It wasn't until 2012 that the renowned Canadian filmmaker James Cameron descended into the abyss aboard the deep-sea Challenger. Because so few scientists have journeyed to such depths, before or since Cameron's dive, a comprehensive map of our planet's deepest point remains elusive. Indeed, we know shockingly little about the oceans that cover over 2/3 of the Earth's surface. Researchers have mapped a mere 5% of their vast expanse. The Mariana Trench and countless other unexplored regions hold untold secrets that await discovery. Meanwhile, on land, the Amazon rainforest stands as the epitome of the world's most uncharted territories. The reasons for this lack of exploration are numerous, starting with its incredibly dangerous wildlife. Jaguars, anacondas, piranhas, black caimans, and Brazilian wandering spiders are just a few of the creatures that pose a constant threat to researchers. The region is also plagued by relentless year-round rainfall, leading to extensive flooding. Add treacherous river currents to the mix, and it's easy to understand why scientists have mapped so little of the Amazon to date. In a remote region of Brazil near the Peruvian border, at least 14 isolated tribes have never had contact with the outside world. The Brazilian authorities are committed to preserving their isolation, recognizing it as the best way to safeguard their future. A similar situation exists on a remote island in the Indian Ocean. Following the devastating tsunami of 2004, helicopters flew over North Sentinel Island to assess the well-being of its inhabitants. The Sentinelese, however, were far from welcoming. They greeted the helicopters with a barrage of bows and arrows, making it clear that any unwanted visitors were not welcome. Imagine a remote corner of the world, untouched by time. There, nestled far from established sea routes in the Bay of Bengal, lies North Sentinel Island, home to one of Earth's last uncontacted tribes. While anthropologists and filmmakers ventured near its shores in the late 1960s, the island's indigenous population remains largely a mystery to the outside world. North Sentinel presents a formidable challenge to any would-be visitors. It lacks a natural harbor, and a treacherous shallow reef encircles its perimeter, making access possible only by boat. To protect both the islanders and outsiders, Indian authorities who claim the island have forbidden unauthorized visits. Estimates of the island's population vary wildly, ranging from a mere 15 individuals to as many as 500. The island itself is not small. Its area is roughly 5 times that of London's Heathrow Airport. Save for infrequent encounters over the past 2 centuries, the Sentinelese have existed in isolation for what must be an immense span of time. Though related to other indigenous groups in the Andaman Islands, their language is utterly incomprehensible to their closest neighbors. Now, let's journey to another extreme environment: Antarctica. This continent stands apart, devoid of any permanent human settlements. Only international scientists inhabit its icy expanse periodically. Covering an area approximately equal to the combined size of the United States and Mexico, vast regions of Antarctica remain where no human has ever set foot. Satellite imagery and aerial photographs captured by NASA have mapped the entire continent, yet knowing where to go is only half the battle. Antarctica is defined by its superlatives. It is the coldest, windiest, driest, and brightest of all 7 continents, making it a place virtually uninhabitable. Over 99% of its surface is entombed beneath a permanent ice sheet, ranging in thickness from 1 mile to an astounding 3 miles in certain locations. That's half the height of Mount Everest. Speaking of mountains, the Himalayan range harbors the world's tallest unclimbed peak. It is also the highest mountain in Bhutan. In the local language, its name translates poetically as White Peak of the 3 Spiritual Brothers. Out of profound respect for the spiritual beliefs of the local people, national authorities first restricted and then completely banned mountaineering on this peak at the dawn of the 21st century. Even now, no climber has ever verifiably reached the summit of this mysterious, sacred mountain. Now, Prepare for a change of scenery. Can you swim? Excellent, because we are about to dive into the deepest point on Earth. Imagine yourself poised at the edge of the Pacific Ocean, ready to descend into the Mariana Trench. Slip on your flippers. The abyss awaits. Okay, just dip a toe in the water. That's about as deep as you can go without any special equipment. No mask, no snorkel. Oh, look over there. Are those tourists? Or maybe whales? 10 feet below the surface, you're now deeper than most public swimming pools in the United States. Here, sunlight still penetrates, illuminating colorful fish and microscopic phytoplankton that thrive on the sun's rays. Descend to 26 feet. At this depth lie the foundations of the floating city of Venice, Italy. Master builders drove columns deep into the seabed, upon which they constructed the houses and streets of this timeless city. 30 feet underwater, and you begin to feel the immense pressure. At the surface, you experience 1 atmosphere of pressure, about 15 pounds per square inch. But here, at 30 feet, that pressure doubles. The air pockets in your body, such as your lungs and ears, begin to compress, causing discomfort. But don't worry, your organs are resilient, soft, and elastic, so you can continue your descent. At 40 feet, you are starting to run out of air. The average person can hold their breath for about 30 to 90 seconds. The current world record is an unbelievable 24 minutes and 37 seconds. Gasp! Okay, you'll definitely need some diving equipment to continue. Here you go. Thank you very much. Tourists often dive to this depth to explore coral reefs and observe marine life. No special skills are needed, but you cannot go much deeper without training and a license. 45 feet down. Be careful. Sharks patrol these waters, constantly seeking prey. Sometimes tourists descend to this depth in protective cages to observe these apex predators up close. It is best to avoid attracting their attention. Make sure you are not wearing any bright or shiny jewelry. Sharks are drawn to such things. 62 feet underwater, you might encounter the Aquarius Reef. Let's plunge into the depths, embarking on an extraordinary underwater journey. Imagine, if you will, descending into the ocean's embrace, where sunlight fades and the mysteries of the deep begin to unfold. We begin our descent at the Aquarius Reef Base in Florida. At a depth of 105 feet, imagine a fully equipped research facility, a veritable underwater building complete with specialized chambers for marine exploration, accessible via a secure hatch. Gazing out, you spot an antique diving bell suspended from heavy chains. These were the tools of deep-sea exploration some 4 centuries ago. Picture divers being lowered from ships inside these bells, relying on the trapped air to breathe and explore the ocean floor, perhaps even searching for long-lost treasures within sunken galleons. Deeper we go, now at 140 feet. Here, in China's Qiandao Lake, lies an entire submerged city, a ghost from a forgotten age. Streets, homes, and even temples stand eerily preserved, a silent testament to a civilization swallowed by the waters. But hold on, at 330 feet, a colossal form looms into view. A majestic blue whale. These gentle giants, as long as 2 railway carriages, often dive to these depths. Let's pause and listen to their haunting songs, a symphony of the deep that resonates through the ocean. Our journey continues. At 660 feet, we reach a point where sunlight barely penetrates. This is where the familiar world of ocean life begins to give way to the bizarre and the extraordinary. Creatures like the anglerfish, with its bioluminescent lure, have evolved to thrive in this high-pressure, lightless realm. Their grotesque appearances are a testament to the extreme conditions they endure. At 702 feet, we find the absolute limit of unaided human diving. Here, one man holds the record, having braved pressures more than 20 times greater than at the surface. An incredible feat of human endurance. But what was that sound? At 985 feet, a submarine glides past, a vessel capable of withstanding the crushing depths. These machines can reach speeds of up to 26 miles per hour. Ironically, an ostrich can run twice as fast on land, but it certainly can't join us down here. At 1,090 feet, we bid farewell to the scuba divers. This is beyond their reach. The record for scuba diving was set in the Red Sea. It took only 12 minutes to reach this depth, but a grueling 15 hours to ascend, a testament to the dangers of decompression sickness. Now, it's time for an upgrade, an atmospheric diving suit. Fully sealed, it allows us to ignore the immense pressure. At 1,454 feet, the tip of the Empire State Building would be submerged, its luxurious carpets soaked. Deeper still, at 2,300 feet, the pressure is 70 times greater than at the surface. The plastic components of our suit begin to creak and groan, straining under the load. Time for another upgrade. An ultra-deep submersible arrives, our ticket to the truly abyssal depths. We continue our descent. At 2,917 feet, we would find the tip of the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building on Earth. At 5,287 feet, we reach the bottom of Lake Baikal, one of the oldest and deepest lakes on our planet. Its vastness is breathtaking, its surface area rivaling that of Belgium. At 8,040 feet, we find the Perdo oil platform in the Gulf of Mexico. Its towering structure with its 3 decks stands almost as tall as the Eiffel Tower. Deeper into the Atlantic we plunge, reaching an average depth of 11,962 feet. Here, a thick cable snakes across the seabed, as wide as a giraffe's neck. This is a transatlantic communications cable, once vital for telegraph and telephone communication between Europe and North America. Then, at 12,533 feet, a ghostly shape materializes from the darkness. It's the Titanic. The immense pressure at this depth would instantly crush a human, making a submersible the only way to visit this tragic wreck. At 13,123 feet, we find the end of the world's deepest mine, a gold and platinum mine in South Africa. But our journey isn't over yet. Let's accelerate our descent. At 20,000 feet, we pass the scattered wreckage of the USS Johnston, DD-557, a testament to the brutal battles fought during World War II. Even after more than 70 years, the ship's hull number is still visible. At 26,200 feet, in total darkness, dwells the Mariana snailfish. This elusive creature, about the size of a domestic cat, has translucent skin and poorly developed eyes, a testament to the absence of sunlight in its world. Finally, at 29,030 feet, we reach a point where, if Mount Everest were inverted and plunged into the Mariana Trench, its peak would just touch this depth. Even the highest point on Earth doesn't reach the bottom of this abyss. Our journey culminates at 35,155 feet in the Challenger Deep, the deepest known point in the ocean. Even here, life persists, a testament to the resilience of nature. We are in one of the most extreme environments on Earth, though you'd need a microscope to spot them. Here, bacteria thrive, feeding on organic molecules remarkably similar to oil. Now, let's descend even further. Congratulations, you've reached the bottom. A staggering 36,070 feet below the surface. The pressure here is crushing, 1,071 times greater than what we experience above. But you're not the first to witness this alien landscape. In 2012, an American filmmaker ventured into these depths in a custom-built submarine. Imagine the courage. But even with cutting-edge technology, the pressure took its toll, crippling some of the engines and hindering maneuverability. The sonar system failed, and precious battery power drained away. He spent approximately 3 harrowing hours in the Challenger Deep, capturing as much video and imagery as possible. Look closely at the seabed. Do you see those shimmering bubbles? They're composed of carbon dioxide and liquid sulfur, seeping from the Earth's interior. Despite the extreme pressure and near-freezing temperatures, life persists. 3 types of microorganisms dominate this realm: xenophores, amphipods, and those bizarre small sea cucumbers. Their numbers are few, a testament to the scarcity of food at these depths. Typically, the ocean floor receives a bounty of palm leaves carried from the land. However, the Mariana Trench lies a formidable 124 miles from the nearest islands. This means the primary sustenance consists of ancient plankton and the occasional fish scale drifting down from the sunlit layers above. Imagine that journey, tens of thousands of feet to become a meager meal for these bottom dwellers. But what if we could delve even deeper, piercing the Earth's crust itself? Picture unleashing a colossal drill, its jet engines roaring, and plunging another 36 miles through solid rock. We've reached the edge. We've entered the upper mantle, a seething ocean of molten lava nearly 2,000 meters deep. We must swim through this inferno, pushing onward to the outer core, another 1,400 meters further down. Finally, we arrive at the inner core, a solid sphere stretching 755 miles to the very center of our planet. Congratulations, you've reached the Earth's core. Now, a pressing question arises. How do we get out? Could the legendary Atlantis have been real? The question continues to fascinate. The saga begins with Plato in ancient Greece, with the tale of a civilization that rose and flourished long before our own. Atlantis was said to be a technologically advanced society, in some ways like the Mayan civilization. But, as the legend goes, the Atlanteans' greed led to their downfall, a catastrophic flood that obliterated their cities, plunging them beneath the waves. Many theories attempt to pinpoint Atlantis' location. Some place it in the Mediterranean Sea, others beneath the ominous Bermuda Triangle. But, as science suggests, Atlantis may be no more than an allegory about the perils of humankind. Today, prepare to discover real underwater cities, lost to time, that you've likely never heard of. These existed. They are not myth. Our journey takes us to the submerged city of Baia, off the coast of Italy. Baia, once known as the Las Vegas of the Roman Empire, was a luxurious resort city. The Roman elite flocked here for leisure and pleasure. Picture a sprawling open-air spa. That was Baia. Now, you can explore this submerged marvel by scuba diving, getting up close to remarkably preserved Roman sculptures. A true underwater treasure. Glass-bottom boats offer another view, revealing crumbled temples and buildings beneath the waves. This moss-covered wonder is Claudio's Nymphaeum. To your left, observe a collection of classical Greek statues, eerily beautiful in their watery setting. Swimming along the Via Herculeana, you'll reach Villa Arroyo. These Italian-style houses, or villas, still boast their original marble floors. Note the intricate black and white patterns, their astounding geometric designs. Next, we arrive at Portus Julius. Can you see the collapsing wall structures resting on the seafloor? Gaze upon the well-preserved columns and limestone floors. Behold the ruins of the thermal baths of Lacus. The remaining multicolored mosaics are a sight to behold, their orange, blue, and green tiles still vibrant after centuries underwater. At Pons Vapila, you'll encounter 25 remarkably preserved Roman pillars. Observe the arches, the nearby fresco, and the sheer scale of this well-maintained treasure. Baia was strategically located over natural volcanic vents, providing an abundance of hot springs for the elite to enjoy. People came here seeking the ultimate good time. And when I say people, I mean some of the most powerful Roman. We all remember the great emperors from history class: Nero, Cicero, Caesar, figures who shaped the course of empires. But imagine an entire city, once bustling with life, meeting a far less glorious end. Around the 8th century, disaster struck. The city was brutally sacked, its opulent buildings abandoned to the elements. Slowly, inexorably, the water began to rise, swallowing the city piece by piece until it vanished beneath the waves. Now, picture this. You're on a summer holiday, enjoying the crystal-clear waters off the coast of Greece. You're a few hours from Athens, exploring the Peloponnese Peninsula near Pavlopetri. Equipped with just a snorkel, you decide to take a free dive on a bright, sun-drenched day. As you descend, something catches your eye. About 13 feet below the surface, strange patterns begin to emerge from the seabed. As you swim further, the outlines of familiar shapes start to materialize, one by one. Then, a breathtaking realization. Before you lies the ghostly silhouette of an entire city. How could water have claimed such a place? Rocks are arranged with geometric precision, forming what appears to be the foundations of buildings, streets, and public squares. This incredible sight was first documented by Nicholas Fleming, a British oceanographer who stumbled upon Pavlopetri while vacationing in Greece. His team meticulously cataloged the artifacts scattered across the seafloor: pots, storage vessels, and tools that offered tantalizing clues to the city's past. Among these finds was a quernstone, a tool used for grinding grains into flour. The presence of numerous amphorae suggests a settlement dating back to the Bronze Age, some 5,500 years ago, when humans first began to coalesce into urban centers. Pavlopetri is believed to have thrived for over 2,400 years. Today, it stands as the oldest submerged city ever discovered. What's truly remarkable is that this wasn't some simple village. It was a vibrant port city, complete with stone buildings, a marketplace, bustling streets, and public squares. Now, let's journey onward, diving into the mysteries of other underwater cities. Imagine yourself off the coast of the Ryukyu Islands. The Pacific waters are turbulent, the currents strong, threatening to pull you into the abyss. Suddenly, a colossal structure looms into view, illuminated by the sunlight piercing the depths. At first glance, it resembles the ruins of Machu Picchu, transported across the globe from Peru. As you draw closer, its true form becomes clear. A pyramid-shaped structure, adorned with arches and staircases. It could easily be mistaken for an ancient palace or a forgotten castle. Could this be another sign of human activity, swallowed by the sea? What you're seeing is known as the Yonaguni Monument, often called Japan's Atlantis. This immense structure is about the size of 5 football fields and as tall as a 5-story building. Its most striking feature is its expansive terraces, seemingly designed to accommodate large gatherings. Explorers and scientists estimate that Yonaguni dates back as far as 10,000 years ago. Its origins, however, remain shrouded in mystery. Is it a man-made marvel or a natural formation sculpted by the relentless forces of nature? Professor Masaki Kimura, one of Japan's leading marine geologists, is convinced that Yonaguni is the legacy of a lost civilization. He has explored the ruins over 100 times in the past decade, and he points to compelling evidence of human craftsmanship. He highlights a triangular pool on the monument's surface, a concave shape that mirrors historical water fountains in the region. There's also a massive turtle carving on the eastern side of the structure. According to Kimura, turtles hold deep cultural significance in this area. Furthermore, numerous stone tools, dating back approximately 10,000 years, have been recovered from the site. However, not all scientists share Kimura's conviction. Many argue that Yonaguni is simply the result of millennia of erosion. The fact that the monument is composed of a single, massive rock formation leads them to believe it is not man-made. The defined edges and flat surfaces, they contend, are similar to natural formations found in Northern Ireland, such as the Giant's Causeway. There, a series of interlocking basalt columns resemble the ruins of a palace, but they were actually formed by volcanic activity. Our underwater voyage continues. Now, let's set course for one of the most famous underwater cities, which has been transformed into an underwater archaeological park, Port Royal in Jamaica. Today, it exists only beneath the waves, but back in 1692, it was one of the wealthiest cities in the Western Hemisphere. Port Royal was the epicenter of the British Empire in the region, a thriving trade hub that attracted people from across the globe. It was also the stomping ground of real-life pirates of the Caribbean. Imagine stepping back in time to the fateful morning of June 7th, 1692. The vibrant city of Port Royal, teeming with taverns and bustling restaurants, was about to meet a cataclysmic end. The revelry and laughter were abruptly silenced as the very ground beneath their feet began to convulse with unimaginable force. People were violently jolted from their slumber as a massive earthquake, now estimated to have reached a staggering 7.5 on the Richter scale, ripped through the city. One terrified survivor recounted witnessing the earth itself opening up, a gaping maw swallowing the town hall whole. His account rings true, as much of Port Royal was constructed upon unstable shifting sands. The ground became a quicksand, relentlessly pulling down buildings, roads, and the unfortunate souls who stood above. Suddenly, geysers of water erupted from the earth, followed by monstrous waves towering as high as 10-story buildings, crashing into what remained of the shattered city. An astonishing 33 acres of Port Royal vanished beneath the waves in mere moments. Yet, remarkably, much of this 17th century metropolis remains surprisingly well preserved, lying silently under 40 feet of water. Within these submerged ruins, archaeologists have unearthed the remnants of bustling taverns, storage rooms overflowing with forgotten goods, kitchens where meals were once prepared, and recreational buildings that echoed with laughter and music. A grand lion statue stands sentinel. A submerged bridge stretches towards an unknown destination, and picturesque arches frame scenes of a lost world. Now, let's journey far to the east, to the coasts of India, where another incredible underwater marvel awaits. Here lies the lost city of Cambay, nestled in the Gulf of Cambay. Its existence remained a secret until 2001, when the National Institute of Ocean Technology conducted a routine water assessment. Using sonar technology, which sends acoustic waves cascading to the ocean floor, they stumbled upon something incredible lurking far beneath the surface. The sonar images revealed distinct geometric shapes, stretching for an impressive 5 miles. The artifacts recovered from the site have been dated to over 9,500 years ago, suggesting that this civilization vanished around the end of the last ice age. Among the debris were construction materials, fragments of pottery, delicate beads, intricate sculptures, and even ancient bones. While some scientists debate the origin of these artifacts, their presence at the site suggests that the lost city of Cambay could potentially be the oldest known civilization in the world. Now, prepare to descend into the crushing depths of the Mariana Trench, perhaps the most enigmatic place on our planet. Here, in this lightless realm, bizarre creatures dwell, such as the deep-sea anglerfish with its bioluminescent lure, the fearsome frilled and goblin sharks, the otherworldly barrelly fish, and the menacing hatchetfish. Only a handful of brave souls have ever ventured down to the Challenger Deep, the southern end of the Mariana Trench. Almost 11,000 feet below the surface, they discovered vents spewing carbon dioxide and liquid sulfur into the frigid water. Mud volcanoes erupt under pressures 1,000 times greater than at the surface. Now, let's journey to a different, yet equally fascinating destination: the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. Here, we find the cenotes, bottomless sinkholes filled with crystal-clear water. This is fresh water that overlays the salt water, seeping in from the sea. The ancient Mayans believed these natural wells were gateways to Xibalba, the underworld. Thousands of these cenotes, formed by the collapse of limestone bedrock, create one of the world's most extensive underwater cave systems. Navigating this tangled and mysterious network is not for the faint of heart. It's easy to become hopelessly lost within its depths. Next, we travel to the Caribbean Sea, descending nearly 8,000 feet to the Von Dam vent field. Here, hydrothermal vents spew streams of muddy, scalding water, reaching temperatures of nearly 400 degrees Fahrenheit, hot enough to bake a pizza. These mounds are composed of talc, the same substance found in baby powder. The Von Dam vent field is an oasis for unique and strange species, including a bizarre eyeless shrimp. Instead of eyes, these creatures possess patches of light-sensitive cells on their backs, allowing them to perceive the faint glow of the hydrothermal vents. Our journey continues in the Caribbean, just off the coast of Belize, where we encounter another remarkable sinkhole, the Great Blue Hole. This colossal sinkhole is nearly 1,000 feet in diameter and plunges to a depth of over 400 feet. Long ago, this was a cave system until rising sea levels flooded it, causing its roof to collapse. As you descend into the crystalline waters of the Great Blue Hole, the darkness deepens. You'll see a myriad of stalactite-filled caves. However, entering these caves is not recommended unless you desire to become hopelessly disoriented. At a depth of around 50 feet, you'll notice a shimmering line where the salty top layer of water meets the freshwater abyss. Time to ascend, because who knows what strange and unsettling creatures might lurk in those lightless depths. Our next destination lies off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. Here, scientists discovered almost 500 streams of methane bubbles rising from the seabed. These vents, bubbling with gas, have been nicknamed champagne seeps, certainly a more appealing name than fart spots. What is the source of all this methane? Are there vast herds of underwater cows grazing on the ocean floor? And why is the water around these seeps noticeably warmer than the surrounding ocean? Perhaps the most intriguing question is, what would happen if you were to ignite a large methane bubble? Methane, of course, is a highly flammable gas. Imagine the spectacle. Now, prepare to journey to Iceland. Our objective? To dive into Silfra, a fissure filled with the purest glacial water. This chasm, plunging to a depth of 206 feet, is a unique place on Earth. Here, a diver can touch two continental plates simultaneously. As you descend, the light fades, and the rocky landscape takes on an otherworldly appearance. But be warned, divers who venture into this incredible place risk equipment failure due to freezing temperatures, hypothermia, or worse. The water in Silfra Fissure hovers around a bone-chilling 35 degrees year-round. Next, we travel to Scotland. Picture this, the haunting sound of bagpipes echoing across the landscape. We're diving into the Gulf of Corryvreckan, a narrow strait separating two islands. Here, the seabed is a chaotic jumble of massive underwater rocks and deep holes. This unique topography creates the Corryvreckan Maelstrom, the third largest permanent whirlpool on our planet. The water rushes through the strait with incredible force, slamming into the underwater rocks and creating a churning, boiling effect. Waves can reach heights of 15 feet. The roar of the maelstrom can be heard from 10 miles away. Legend has it that the Corryvreckan Maelstrom has claimed dozens of sailors over the centuries, their vessels caught in its unforgiving grip and dragged into the depths in the blink of an eye. Enough bagpipes for now. Our underwater adventures are about to become even more extreme. We are heading to Antarctica. In the Southern Ocean, we find the Ross Ice Shelf. This colossal slab of ice is roughly the size of Spain, with an ocean beneath it containing as much water as the North Sea. When scientists finally managed to drill through this immense ice sheet, they were astonished to discover life thriving in the extreme conditions below. They encountered dozens of previously unknown species, including bizarre upside-down swimming fish and overturned sea anemones clinging to the frigid waters. Hopefully, such bizarre and notorious locations don't deter you, because our next stop is the infamous Bermuda Triangle. This area, bounded by Bermuda, Florida, and Puerto Rico, is where ships and planes have seemingly vanished without a trace. The mystery first gained notoriety in 1945, when 5 U.S. Navy planes disappeared during a training mission. Before radio contact was lost, the flight leader reported, "We're entering white water. Nothing seems right." The planes, along with their 14 crew members, were never seen again. Even more chilling, a rescue plane carrying 13 personnel also vanished. Some believe the lost city of Atlantis lies beneath the Bermuda Triangle, its inhabitants using advanced technology to sink ships and down aircraft. Others blame rare and unexplained natural phenomena, such as magnetic anomalies or vast pockets of flammable methane gas. Ah, methane again? If a lightning strike were to ignite a giant methane bubble near a ship or plane, it could potentially cause it to sink rapidly, leaving no wreckage, except for the lingering smell of natural gas. However, methane is found all over the world, and such events are rare. Some experts believe there is no mystery at all. The area is heavily trafficked, so statistically, more ships and planes are likely to be lost there than in less traveled regions. Now, bundle up warm. We're heading north once more, to Cape Desolation in Greenland. A rather ominous name, isn't it? In 2012, Canadian researchers were taking water samples in the area when their equipment returned to the surface, carrying... Imagine a world hidden beneath the waves, where sunlight struggles to penetrate and the pressure is crushing. It is here, in the inky blackness, that we stumble upon the extraordinary. A cold water coral reef. These aren't your typical sun-drenched corals. These unique, pinkish formations thrive without sunlight, enduring the relentless battering of powerful currents, nearly 1,000 meters, 3,000 feet, below the surface. But the ocean's secrets don't end there. Our journey takes us next to a remarkable location, nestled between Greenland and Siberia. Here lies the Gackle Ridge, the most profound and isolated section of the global mid-ocean ridge system. In places, This underwater mountain range plunges to depths exceeding 5 kilometers, over 3 miles. It's no surprise that these extreme depths remain largely unexplored. Here, in these lightless abysses, fascinating chemical reactions occur. Hot, mineral-rich fluids, spewed from seafloor vents, explode into the frigid waters like a geyser. These vents, isolated ecosystems in their own right, become havens for bizarre creatures found nowhere else on Earth. Now, let's shift our course to the sun-kissed waters off the coast of Cuba. Imagine circular columns rising from the seabed, paved floors stretching into the distance, and symmetrical stone structures hinting at a forgotten past. This is the so-called Cuban underwater city. What cataclysm befell this place? Why was a vast city abandoned at such a depth, over 600 meters, 2,000 feet? Many believe these are the remnants of a lost civilization, swallowed by the sea. However, scientists remain skeptical. They propose that this lost city is simply a natural geological formation, dating back roughly 5 million years. These disc and donut-shaped structures often materialize in areas where natural gases escape from the seafloor, creating these unusual formations. Our oceanic voyage continues to the Sargasso Sea, a unique expanse in the heart of the North Atlantic Ocean. Unlike other seas, it possesses no land boundaries. Instead, it is defined by the powerful ocean currents that encircle it. These swirling currents also transform the Sargasso Sea into a massive gathering place for dense brown seaweed. Adding to its mystique, a 19th century tale speaks of a French ship discovered adrift in the Sargasso Sea. Its sails were set, yet not a soul was on board. This unexplained disappearance fueled legends of carnivorous seaweed, ensnaring ships and devouring their crews. The Sargasso Sea is an anomaly, eerily calm and unusually warm, even amidst the churning frigid waters of the surrounding Atlantic. Could a behemoth like the megalodon, Otodus megalodon, have found refuge in one of these strange and isolated locations? The teeth of this extinct giant shark, some exceeding the size of a man's hand, have been unearthed across the globe. But megalodons favored warm, shallow waters, congregating along the coastlines of every continent except Antarctica. Thus, searching for this colossal predator in the Mariana Trench, off the coast of Greenland, or within the Mexican cenotes would likely prove fruitless. Could they perhaps have chosen the Caribbean waters as a sanctuary? Perhaps, but temper your expectations. There's no concrete evidence to suggest that the megalodon still exists. It was not a shy or elusive creature, and yet, no credible sightings have emerged in recent times, not even near the fart spas. Finally, we find ourselves drawn to one of the most enigmatic places on Earth. Shrouded in perpetual darkness, miles beneath the surface, exists an extreme environment teeming with bizarre creatures and remarkable phenomena. This is the Mariana Trench, the deepest oceanic trench known to humankind. Its inaccessibility has posed immense challenges to exploration. The crushing pressure and perilous conditions demand specialized equipment and unwavering resolve. How did we even discover this colossal abyss in the first place? The HMS Challenger first identified it, way back in 1875. While equipped with sophisticated instruments for its time, they were insufficient to fully explore the trench's depths. Decades later, in 1951, the HMS Challenger 2 returned, now boasting an echo sounder. This advanced technology allowed for unprecedented accuracy in measuring what appeared to be the deepest point on our planet. Viewed in 2 dimensions, the trench stretches approximately 2,500 kilometers, 1,500 miles in length, with an average width of 69 kilometers, 43 miles. From above, it resembles a crescent-shaped scar upon the ocean floor. But here's where the true scale of the trench becomes apparent. If one were to drop a cable from the ocean's surface to the trench's deepest point, it would extend an astounding 11 kilometers, 7 miles. Imagine a place so deep, so dark, that even the world's tallest mountain, Mount Everest, wouldn't begin to fill it. We're talking about the Mariana Trench, the deepest known point in our oceans. Even if you took the entire height of Everest and plunged it into the trench, its peak would still be a mile underwater. Here, millions of years of evolution have sculpted a world unlike any other. Sunlight is virtually non-existent at these depths, plunging the trench into perpetual darkness. The water temperature hovers just above freezing, a bone-chilling reminder of the extreme environment. Yet the most formidable challenge is the crushing water pressure. At the trench's deepest point, the pressure is a staggering 1,000 times greater than what we experience at sea level. For decades, scientists believed that life was impossible in such a place. The pressure alone seemed insurmountable. Yet, life finds a way. It was more than 60 years ago that the first intrepid explorers dared to venture into this abyss. Jacques Picard and Don Walsh, in their submersible, made history. Their descent took a grueling 5 hours, and they spent a mere 20 minutes on the bottom. But what they saw in those fleeting moments changed everything. Before this pioneering dive, specialists were almost certain that the extreme conditions, particularly the immense pressure, would preclude any possibility of life. But as the submersible's floodlights pierced the inky blackness, they revealed a creature, a flat, almost ethereal being. Resources are incredibly scarce down here. So, what kind of creatures call the Mariana Trench home, and how do they endure such a hostile environment? Astonishingly, the Mariana Trench teems with life. Some organisms have adapted to utilize chemicals like methane or sulfur for energy, a process known as chemosynthesis. Others have become scavengers, feeding on the remains of marine life that sink from the upper layers of the ocean. Among the most common inhabitants are xenophores, amphipods, and small sea cucumbers. Certain species have evolved remarkable defenses. Some amphipods, for example, harden their shells by extracting aluminum from the surrounding seawater. Microbes thrive by consuming the chemicals released when seawater interacts with the underwater rocks. But perhaps the most celebrated resident of the Mariana Trench is the Mariana snailfish, Pseudoliparis swierii. These small, translucent fish, typically measuring between 3 to 9 inches, lack scales. Yet they reign as the apex predators in this lightless realm. The existence of such creatures, thriving in such extreme conditions, has fueled speculation about other, even larger creatures lurking in the depths. Some have even dared to suggest that the megalodon, Otodus megalodon, the largest shark that ever lived, might still exist here. The megalodon was a true behemoth, the most formidable predator in Earth's history. This gigantic shark, with its massive jaws and teeth, would have dwarfed even the great white shark. While scientists believe the megalodon has been extinct for millions of years, the idea of it surviving in the Mariana Trench persists in popular imagination. However, the evidence supporting this notion is scant. A megalodon would face significant challenges in the trench. It would need to navigate in complete darkness, either by developing bioluminescence or evolving enormous eyes. Furthermore, given its immense size, comparable to a school bus, it would require a substantial food supply. The microbes and small snailfish of the Mariana Trench simply wouldn't suffice. But what about the physical properties of this environment? Imagine dropping a solid steel ball into the Mariana Trench. Would it withstand the immense pressure? Let's consider the science. Assuming the ball is indeed solid steel, the pressure at the bottom of the trench wouldn't be enough to cause any permanent damage. It would, however, take a considerable amount of time, around 12 minutes, for the ball to reach the ocean floor. And what about the temperature? The temperature difference between the surface and the bottom of the trench is significant, a staggering 86 degrees Fahrenheit. This temperature change would cause the ball to contract slightly. However, once the ball returned to the surface, it would revert to its original size. Now, imagine the ball becomes lodged at the bottom of the trench. Would corrosion pose a threat? The corrosion of steel is heavily influenced by the amount of oxygen present in the water. Fortunately, the amount of dissolved oxygen remains relatively constant at depths greater than 3 miles. Without getting bogged down in complex calculations, it would take over 10,000 years for the steel ball to completely rust away in the depths of the Mariana Trench. It begs the question, what advancements would be necessary for humans to survive at such extreme depths? To answer that, we need to look at the technologies developed to explore this mysterious realm, including a remarkable material called syntactic foam. Imagine descending into the crushing depths of the Mariana Trench. What protects those brave enough to venture there? Exotic syntactic foam. Why? Because it's uniquely capable of both floating and withstanding the immense pressure found at that depth. Without such protection, our lungs would collapse almost instantly. The water pressure alone would force fluids into our mouths, displacing vital oxygen with seawater. And then there's the crucial ability to return to the surface if anything goes awry. Consider this. One deep-diving vessel used 1,000-pound steel weights to ensure it sank rapidly. These weights were attached by a specialized wire designed to corrode in seawater after 11 to 13 hours. A fail-safe for a swift ascent should the need arise. The extreme conditions of the Mariana Trench make oxygen supply a critical concern. Any future expeditions must consider advanced air recycling systems to minimize the amount of oxygen needed for the journey. And let's not forget electricity. Down in the abyss, there are no outlets to charge your phone. Submersibles need enough battery power to support essential equipment, communication systems, oxygen supply, and lighting. But these challenges are no longer insurmountable. As recently as 2020, tourists could actually purchase a trip to the Mariana Trench. 3 lucky individuals participated in one such expedition, descending in a 3.5-inch thick titanium sphere. This shielded them from the crushing pressure and any physiological stress. Each guest embarked on a solo journey lasting approximately 14 hours. The descent alone took over 4 hours. Reaching the bottom, they witnessed some of the most extraordinary creatures on Earth. Then began the 4-hour ascent back to the world above. What is the scariest predator in the ocean? A crocodile? Hardly. The Loch Ness Monster? A myth. What about Kronosaurus? Now, that's a contender, even if it is extinct. Let's consider what it would be like if these colossal predators still roamed the seas today. First, what exactly was Kronosaurus? This marine carnivore inhabited the cool, high-latitude Eromanga Sea, which covered vast stretches of inland Australia between 90 and 120 million years ago during the early Cretaceous period. But near-complete fossils have also been found near Colombia, a country with a strong connection to prehistoric reptiles and turtles. Josie, Kronosaurus. Kronosaurus queenslandicus may have been a worldwide terror. Hearing saurus, you might think dinosaur. But Kronosaurus was a reptile, the largest member of the pliosaur family. Fossil evidence suggests they weighed over 20,000 pounds and stretched roughly 30 feet long. To put that in perspective, the longest crocodile ever measured, Lolong from the Philippines, was 20 feet long and weighed just under 2,500 pounds. Kronosaurus was a full 10 feet longer and vastly heavier, making even a record-breaking crocodile look like an oversized goldfish. Despite its terrifying length, the most daunting feature of Kronosaurus was its head. Its skull was roughly 8 feet long, proportionally enormous even for its massive body. Anything unfortunate enough to find itself inside a Kronosaurus' mouth might initially feel a glimmer of hope. After all, the teeth of this beast weren't particularly sharp, but on second thought, I take that back. I wouldn't feel confident around a toothless snake, let alone inside the jaws of this monster. While it's true the Kronosaurus' teeth weren't as blade-like as those of crocodiles or alligators, they were still formidable. Imagine a world ruled by colossal marine predators. Picture the Kronosaurus, a beast whose very teeth spell doom for its prey. These weren't delicate, precise instruments. No, they were brutally effective cones of destruction. Their conical shape, while lacking the finesse of a razor-sharp blade, did absolutely nothing to diminish their lethality. In fact, these teeth were absolutely enormous. We're talking about 12 inches of tooth, measured from the very tip of the crown all the way down to the base of the root. This colossal dentition translated into a bite of truly staggering power. Scientists estimate that the Kronosaurus could unleash a bite force of up to 30,000 newtons. To put that into perspective, it's nearly double the crushing power of a large saltwater crocodile, one of the most formidable biters alive today. Now, because of the somewhat blunted shape of their teeth, these predators weren't designed for twisting and tearing their prey once they had it in their grasp. Instead, the sheer size and shape of those teeth made them perfectly adapted for one thing: simple, devastating, open and shut biting. Imagine the force, enough to shatter the toughest of shells, rendering even the most heavily armored sea turtle defenseless. Much like the crocodiles we know today, the Kronosaurus likely possessed a relatively short neck. This may have been an evolutionary adaptation, a design feature that allowed this marine terror to more effectively ambush and capture smaller, faster-moving prey. Its body, in general, was fusiform. Think of a torpedo, streamlined and built for speed. Narrowed at both ends, this body shape offered minimal resistance as it surged through the water, and to propel itself through its underwater domain, the Kronosaurus was equipped with 4 powerful paddle-like limbs. The hind limbs were noticeably larger than the front, and when fully extended, they could span an impressive 7 feet in diameter. All of these features combined to make the Kronosaurus an apex predator, effortlessly gliding through the prehistoric oceans. There's even a fossil nicknamed Predator X, discovered near Svalbard, a Norwegian island group, back in 2009. This creature was estimated to be a staggering 50 feet long and weigh in at a colossal 100,000 pounds. Its bite force: a mind-boggling 33,000 pounds per square inch, potentially the highest bite force of any known animal. While Predator X hasn't been definitively classified, it was undoubtedly a pliosaur, sharing close kinship with the Kronosaurus. But even if Predator X wasn't a Kronosaurus, the Kronosaurus itself was, without a doubt, a ferocious titan that dominated Earth's ancient oceans. The name Kronosaurus itself is derived from Cronus, a figure from Greek mythology, the father of Zeus, and a titan of immense power. So, what did this terrifying monster, this Kronosaurus, actually eat to satisfy its enormous appetite? This creature was a fearsome predator known to feast on sea turtles, squid, and even other large marine reptiles of the era, such as elasmosaurids and ichthyosaurs. It's safe to assume that if crocodiles had existed in the same waters, they too would have become a meal for this aquatic behemoth. Astonishingly, fossil evidence suggests that they even preyed on sharks, a fact that might disappoint those who consider sharks the undisputed kings of the ocean. Not when the Kronosaurus was around. Now, grinding all that food into digestible pieces would have been a challenge without specialized teeth. This likely explains the presence of rounded stones found within the fossilized remains of many Kronosaurus specimens. Researchers theorize that these stones might have been deliberately swallowed to aid in buoyancy control or to help break down their food. Of course, it's also possible that these stones were accidentally ingested while the Kronosaurus was feeding on bottom-dwelling creatures. And as if its immense size and power weren't enough, there's even evidence to suggest that the Kronosaurus may have been a bit of a sadist. It seems that after using its impressive arsenal to capture its prey, it sometimes liked to play with its food, much like a cat with a mouse. Perhaps the hunt was simply too easy, and it needed to derive some extra amusement from its helpless victims. The Kronosaurus was truly a creature to be reckoned with. But what if these titans still roamed our oceans today? And, perhaps more importantly, what led to their demise? The Kronosaurus ultimately met its end in the same catastrophic event that wiped out the dinosaurs. The KT meteor impact 66 million years ago. However, even before this devastating event, the Kronosaurus was facing increasing pressure from an even larger and more formidable family of carnivorous marine reptiles, the mosasaurs. It seems that even at the top of the food chain, there's always a bigger fish, or in this case, a bigger marine reptile. But what if this extinction event never occurred, and imagine for a moment, that colossal marine predators of the prehistoric era still patrolled our oceans? How drastically would that alter our relationship with the sea? Consider the impact that movies like Jaws had on beach attendants. Now, amplify that fear 1,000-fold. What would the presence of a Kronosaurus, a creature that considered sharks and whales mere appetizers, do to our coastal resorts? Beaches would become desolate stretches of sand, perfect for solitary walks, but utterly devoid of sunbathers and swimmers. The global sea tourism industry, a sector that generates approximately $143 billion annually, would face unprecedented devastation. Activities like boating, surfing, and scuba diving would become unthinkable risks. Who would dare venture into the water, knowing that a 30-foot apex predator could be lurking just beneath the surface, ready to strike? To truly grasp the scale of this potential economic catastrophe, consider the History Supreme, a yacht rumored to be the most expensive ever constructed. Its master bedroom supposedly featured a statue crafted from Tyrannosaurus rex bones, a wall adorned with meteorite fragments, and a panoramic aquarium trimmed with 24-karat gold. This floating palace was valued at close to $5 billion. The losses inflicted on sea tourism by the presence of Kronosaurus could equal the value of 38 such yachts. The hypothetical owner of the History Supreme would surely be relieved that such a beast never invaded his luxurious aquarium. Of course, some even doubt the yacht ever existed, claiming it was an elaborate hoax conceived by its supposed designer. But the threat wouldn't be confined to economic losses. The very safety of people could be in danger, even far from the ocean's edge. I'm not suggesting the Kronosaurus would sprout legs and begin stalking us on land, but its impact on sea trade would be catastrophic. In the United States, ocean transit accounts for a staggering 76% of national trade. Furthermore, over 100 essential pharmaceutical products originate from the sea. And of course, the ocean remains a vital food source for billions of people. The presence of a massive, ravenous predator like Kronosaurus would irrevocably damage our relationship with the ocean, something we often take for granted. Now, let's shift our focus to the depths. Where is the deepest place on Earth? Many believe it's the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean, near the Philippines. Imagine unfurling an enormous tape measure, attaching one end to a boat on the surface, and then plunging into the abyss. As you descend, fish and other marine creatures dart past. Deeper and deeper you go, until the last rays of sunlight vanish and you are enveloped in total darkness. After hours of descent, you finally reach Challenger Deep. The tape measure reads 36,200 feet. An incredible depth, but is it the deepest? The Kola Super Deep borehole, located in the Murmansk region of Russia, actually surpasses the Mariana Trench in depth. And there, scientists encountered something truly bizarre. While drilling, they reached a depth of 9 miles and discovered vast empty voids. Intrigued, they lowered a microphone and other sensors into the chasm. The temperature at that depth was a scorching 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. The microphone then recorded sounds resembling human groans and screams. According to legend, some believe the scientists had drilled into the underworld itself. Panic gripped those on the surface. Then, suddenly, a monstrous creature emerged from the drill pipe. It was described as a black goat that walked on its hind legs, its body wreathed in black flames. The creature clambered out of the borehole and vanished into the unknown wilderness. But before you lose your sleep, remember that the story was published on April 1st by a newspaper. Many people believed it at the time, fueling fears that scientists had opened a portal to another dimension. Imagine a chilling tale whispered among those who dare to delve into Earth's mysteries, a gateway to the netherworld itself, unleashing unearthly horrors upon our unsuspecting world. A mere myth? Perhaps. But as with all legends, a sliver of truth often lies buried beneath the surface. Consider the Kola Super Deep borehole, a testament to human ambition and a chilling reminder of nature's power. The deeper scientists plunged into the Earth's crust, the more intense the heat became. At a depth of 3 miles, the temperature soared to a sweltering 160 degrees Fahrenheit. At 4.5 miles, it climbed to a scorching 250 degrees. And at the borehole's maximum depth of 7.5 miles, sensors registered a mind-boggling 413 degrees. Then, one fateful day, a deafening explosion echoed from the depths. Work ground to a halt as everyone scrambled to uncover the source of the subterranean blast. Yet, despite their best efforts, they found nothing. Baffled, they resumed drilling, only to encounter no further incidents at that same depth. The ambitious project began in May 1970. The initial 4.5 miles were relatively smooth sailing, the drill biting through solid granite with steady resolve. It was like piercing an unyielding fortress wall. But then, the drill encountered softer, more treacherous layers. The borehole walls began to crumble, threatening to swallow the entire endeavor. It was akin to drilling through waterlogged sand, each extraction of the drill carrying the risk of a catastrophic collapse. When such a collapse inevitably occurred, the scientists were forced to reroute, charting a new course into the unknown. Interestingly, the final map of the borehole resembled not a straight, unwavering line, but a tangled tree trunk, its path branching into a multitude of directions. 9 years later, in 1979, the team reached a depth of 31,400 feet, shattering the world record for the deepest man-made hole. By 1983, they had plunged another 8,000 feet into the Earth's embrace. But the deeper they went, the more perilous the journey became. After a brief respite, disaster struck. A section of the drill string snapped, abandoning its metal corpse to the crushing depths. For months, the team desperately tried to retrieve the broken piece, but their efforts proved futile. They were forced to retreat to a depth of 4.5 miles and begin anew. The drill itself was composed of modular sections, each lasting a mere 4 hours before succumbing to the relentless pressure and heat. In that time, they could only manage to penetrate about 32 feet into the earth. The drill was then hauled back to the surface, its worn components replaced, and sent back into the abyss. On average, the drilling progressed at a snail's pace of approximately 200 feet per month, equivalent to the height of a 20-story building. In 1990, 2 decades after the project's inception, the scientists reached their final depth of 40,230 feet, a distance equivalent to 100 soccer fields stacked end to end. Following yet another mishap, the project was abandoned. The Guinness World Records officially recognized the Kola Superdeep borehole as the deepest artificial point on Earth, a depth surpassing the height of Mount Everest, with 9 Empire State Buildings stacked on top. One of the most astonishing discoveries at the Kola Superdeep borehole was that the composition of the rock at a depth of about 2 miles almost perfectly mirrored that of the lunar surface. This revelation offered invaluable insights into the formation of our ancient satellite. It suggests that, in Earth's infancy, a colossal asteroid collided with our planet. The impact unleashed an explosion of such magnitude that a fragment of Earth was blasted into space. This fragment, held captive by Earth's gravity, cooled and coalesced into the moon we see today. Another unexpected find was the presence of gold. For every ton of rock extracted, there were roughly 2.5 ounces of gold. Furthermore, the deeper the scientists ventured, the older the rocks became. In layers dating back approximately 2.8 billion years, they unearthed fossilized remnants of ancient organisms. This discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific community, suggesting that life on Earth may have emerged 1.5 billion years earlier than previously believed. In the early 1990s, the drilling project was quietly shut down. Over time, the buildings and equipment surrounding the borehole fell into disrepair, succumbing to rust and decay. Today, the site attracts a steady stream of tourists, drawn by the persistent rumors of subterranean monsters and gateways to another dimension. Yes, a hole stretching 7.5 miles into the Earth lies beneath that rusting metal lid. But the scientists never achieved their ultimate goal, to penetrate the Earth's mantle. To reach that elusive layer, they would have needed to drill down approximately 44 miles. At a rate of 200 feet per month, that would have taken an estimated 80 years, assuming no further mishaps. But the deeper one delves, the more intriguing the mysteries become. But the surprises don't end there. Prepare to be amazed, because scientists have made a staggering discovery. A colossal reservoir of water, hidden miles beneath our feet. Imagine, nearly 370 miles down, an ancient ocean slumbers, dating back billions of years. And the scale of this hidden sea? It dwarfs all the surface water on Earth, the oceans, the seas, the rivers, combined, multiplied several times over. The water down there exists in an unimaginable state. It's heated to a blistering 2,800 degrees Fahrenheit. But don't picture a boiling, vaporous inferno. The crushing pressure at that depth prevents evaporation. Instead, The water is trapped within the crystalline structure of surrounding minerals, locked in place for eons. This subterranean ocean is a relic of our planet's infancy, a time when molten lava flowed freely and space debris bombarded the surface. But the real excitement lies in the potential for what else might be found down there. Living organisms. Imagine life forms isolated for billions of years, evolving in complete darkness, offering invaluable clues to the very origins of life itself. In the icy expanse of Antarctica, scientists have conducted a similar experiment, drilling down to uncover a subglacial lake nearly half the size of Lake Ontario. While smaller than the mighty Lake Baikal, the world's largest lake by volume, this hidden Antarctic lake is a treasure trove of ancient secrets. The ice above it is at least 20,000 years old, and the water beneath has been cut off from the outside world for an astounding 15 million years. During the drilling process, a fragment of ancient ice was brought to the surface, revealing an unknown bacterium clinging to its surface. Astonishingly, its genetic code shared only 86% similarity with any known organism. Was this a completely new form of life, or something even more extraordinary? Something from beyond our planet? While the extraterrestrial origin remains a tantalizing theory, what we do know is that these bacteria thrive in extreme conditions, enduring sub-freezing temperatures. The water within this subglacial lake possesses a unique composition, enriched with oxygen and carbon dioxide, unlike anything we find on the surface. Combine this with complete isolation, and you have the perfect recipe for life to evolve along entirely different pathways. Think about the implications. By studying these deep-dwelling organisms, we may unlock the secrets to life's potential in the most unexpected places. Could life exist beneath the icy crust of other planets or moons? Consider Saturn's moon Enceladus, encased in a 24-mile thick shell of ice. Could a hidden ocean, warmed by geothermal vents, harbor life in its depths? The possibilities are endless. But now, let us journey back over 500 million years, plunging into the primordial oceans of Earth's distant past. Forget megalodons and giant marine reptiles, for there is a far stranger terror lurking in these ancient waters. Anomalocaris. Its very name, meaning unlike any other shrimp, hints at its bizarre nature. Imagine a nightmarish fusion of shrimp and centipede, a creature the size of your leg, propelled through the water by undulating flaps lining its body. Two fearsome tentacles, bristling with razor-sharp teeth, protrude from its face. But the true horror lay in its vision. While we rely on a single lens in each eye, Anomalocaris boasted 16,000 lenses per eye. That's 4 times the visual acuity of a common housefly, granting this predator unparalleled awareness of its surroundings. This exceptional vision, combined with its formidable weaponry, made Anomalocaris one of the first true hunters on Earth. Its favorite prey? Trilobites, the ancient ancestors of modern crabs. Fossilized trilobites bear the telltale marks of Anomalocaris attacks, proof of its reign of terror. Creatures like Anomalocaris were able to reach such enormous sizes thanks to the higher oxygen levels in Earth's early atmosphere. Another prime example is Meganeura, an ancient dragonfly of colossal proportions. Picture a dragonfly as big as a cat, with a wingspan longer than your arm. This monstrous insect could easily snatch other insects and even small animals from the air. With no large birds or other aerial predators to fear, Meganeura ruled the skies, growing to sizes that seem impossible today. Even the piranhas of the past were giants compared to their modern relatives. Megapiranha, as its name suggests, was about 3 times larger than today's piranhas. Not quite as imposing as the river monsters we know today, this ancient piranha still packed a serious punch. Its bite force, comparable to a tiger's, and those striped predators bite with twice the force of a lion. This meant the ancient piranha likely preyed on fish and any hapless land creatures that strayed too close to the water's edge. But it didn't stop there. This powerful fish could easily crush the shells of large turtles and other armored creatures that were unlucky enough to cross its path. Interestingly, modern piranhas make a barking sound, almost like a frog's ribbit, when preparing for confrontation. It makes you wonder, what kind of sound did this gigantic, prehistoric cousin make? Perhaps a bear-like roar echoed across the ancient waters. Now, imagine encountering giant sea scorpions, creatures as large as your bed. Travel back roughly 460 million years, and you might find yourself swimming alongside them. But beware of that tail. Scientists are still uncertain whether these ancient scorpions could inject venom like their land-dwelling counterparts. But one thing's for sure, you wouldn't want that massive stinger anywhere near you. Then there's Therizinosaurus. Therizinosaurus. This dinosaur looks a bit like a goose with exceptionally long arms. But hold on, this goose stood 2 stories tall, its body longer than a city bus. Its arms dwarf even those of Tyrannosaurus rex. Tyrannosaurus rex. Each arm stretched an incredible 8 feet in length, nearly triple the length of a T-Rex's arms. And at the end of those arms, razor-sharp claws, each the size of your entire arm. But don't be too alarmed by those formidable claws. Therizinosaurus likely used them to tear apart giant termite nests. So, this colossal reptilian goose primarily feasted on bugs and plants. Let's not forget Megatherium, the giant ground sloth. This behemoth could look a giraffe straight in the eye and weighed as much as a hippopotamus. It primarily moved on its hind legs, using its massive tail for support. Its paws were equipped with colossal knife-like claws. The sloth could use these claws to defend itself from predators and to pull down tree branches in search of food. Ironically, the greatest threat to Megatherium, wasn't dinosaurs or saber-toothed cats, but our own species. Humans arrived just in time to encounter these gentle giants. And, unfortunately for the sloths, to hunt them for food. Titanoboa was a truly terrifying snake, reaching lengths of 50 feet, as long as the mighty megalodon itself. It outweighed the heaviest snake alive today, the green anaconda, by more than 2 times. Crocodiles were a common item on this serpent's menu. Titanoboa could swim up to 3 times faster than the fastest Olympic swimmer in human history. It was far quicker and more dangerous in the water than on land. And true to its name, this massive snake wasn't venomous. Instead, it preferred to constrict its prey with bone-crushing force. Remember that giant shrimp from before? Well, Opabinia looks like its tiny, finger-sized cousin. Instead of 2 toothy tentacles, this creature possessed a vacuum hose-like appendage extending from its face. At the end of this trunk was what appeared to be a single crab claw. Add 5 eyes and a mouth located beneath its head, and you have a creature that seems alien. This creature used its trunk like an elephant, using the claw to grab food from the ocean floor and bring it to its mouth. This animal is so bizarre that when the scientist who discovered it presented his findings, the audience erupted in laughter, thinking it was a joke. Now, let's talk about a real-life monster. The Tully monster. Tully monstrum. From a distance, it might resemble the Loch Ness monster, with its long neck and tooth-lined jaws. But upon closer inspection, it's more like a long nose with a mouth attached at the end, like a mosquito. Its eyes are set further back, protruding from tubes in a snail-like manner. The Tully monstrum, was an ancient mollusk roughly the size of your forearm. It likely preyed on jellyfish and shrimp some 300 million years ago. Thylacosmolus might bring a smile to your face, as long as you don't get too close. Despite its resemblance, it wasn't related to the saber-toothed tiger. Instead, it was a marsupial, making it more akin to a kangaroo. When compared to body size, its fangs were even longer than those of a saber-toothed tiger, and they grew continuously throughout its life. As for that beard on its chin, that's actually its elongated chin. The lower jawbone extended downwards to a point beneath the mouth. Those massive fangs were deeply rooted in the skull, reaching back towards its eyes. When its mouth was closed, that reinforced chin, that bony beard, served as crucial protection for its array of long, sharp teeth, preventing them from shattering during feeding. Staganapolis, a name easily confused with Minneapolis, might initially strike you as a hefty crocodile with an oddly flattened snout. However, appearances can be deceiving. This creature was, for the most part, quite harmless. Its diminutive head and relatively few teeth meant this reptile wasn't exactly heavily armed for defense. Instead, it relied on its extensive armor plating, those thick scales providing ample protection. And when your diet consists primarily of plants, there's little need for massive fangs or rows of razor-sharp teeth. That beak-like structure at the tip of its nose? Perfectly adapted for unearthing delicious vegetation. In reality, this reptile resembled a 10-foot-long scaly pig far more than a fearsome croc. Now, let's dive into the story of Basilosaurus, an ancient whale species that roamed our oceans roughly 45 million years ago. While not quite as enormous as a modern blue whale, this predator was still a force to be reckoned with, large enough to prey on other whales and even sharks. Some enthusiasts even speculate that these colossal creatures might still lurk in the unexplored depths. Eyewitness accounts occasionally surface, describing giant sea serpents, and the Basilosaurus certainly fits the bill. After all, a staggering 90% of our oceans remain uncharted territory, providing ample hiding places for a sea monster or two. However, the fossil record tells a different story. Scientists haven't unearthed any Basilosaurus fossils younger than 3.7 million years. So, for now, this particular monster myth remains just that, a myth. Stegosaurus is undoubtedly one of the most iconic dinosaurs to ever walk the Earth. Instantly recognizable thanks to the distinctive large plates adorning its back and the menacing spikes protruding from its tail, this herbivore was a true giant. Picture a creature twice the length of a giraffe and nearly 5 times its weight. Yet despite its impressive size, the Stegosaurus possessed a brain that was remarkably small, barely larger than that of a modern dog. Switching gears from dinosaurs to prehistoric birds, consider the Pelaigornis. This avian giant boasted the largest wingspan of any bird ever discovered, dwarfing even the wandering albatross, the largest bird alive today, by a factor of 2. Such immense wings presented a significant challenge when it came to taking flight. The Pelaigornis could only achieve liftoff by launching itself from cliffs. And even when those massive wings were finally spread, this behemoth could only reach a top speed of around 40 mph. To put that into perspective, the fastest birds of today can reach speeds 5 times greater. Lions, dogs, cats, these modern mammals all have their preferred comfortable sleeping positions. But whales? Their slumber is a different story altogether. Imagine encountering a group of giant floating loaves of bread. That's precisely what one diver stumbled upon in the Caribbean Sea. 6 sperm whales were suspended vertically, their tails pointing downwards at a depth of approximately 65 feet. Scientists have since discovered that sperm whales often take naps in this upright position, lasting for about 10 to 15 minutes. During these brief rests, they remain motionless and cease breathing. Remarkably, these colossal creatures spend only about 7% of their time asleep, far less than most other mammals. Usually, they either rest peacefully in the water or drift lazily alongside other marine animals. When they are moving and sleeping simultaneously, they're essentially taking cat naps. However, these animals can't venture too deep, needing to stay relatively close to the surface. Great white sharks, apex predators of the deep, hunt and sleep at greater depths, posing less of a threat to the napping whales. Plus, the deeper you descend, the colder it gets, and whales require warmer temperatures to maintain their massive body temperatures. When alone, dolphins enter a state of deep sleep, typically at night, for only a few hours at a time. While slumbering, the animal floats near the surface, effectively shutting down half of its brain, along with the corresponding eye. The other half remains at a low level of alertness, awake and ready to react to any potential threats. This active portion of the brain also triggers signals when it's time to surface for a breath of fresh air. Marine mammals, equipped with a blowhole, a specialized flap of skin they can open and close at will, have a unique respiratory system. While humans breathe automatically, our bodies instinctively knowing when to take a breath, whales and dolphins possess a voluntary breathing system. This means they must consciously swim to the surface to inhale. Therefore, a portion of their brain must remain constantly awake to remind the animal to breathe. Whales and dolphins can hold their breath for significantly longer periods than other species. They also exhibit a higher tolerance for carbon dioxide and can process more air with each breath. Furthermore, their red blood cells store a greater amount of oxygen. During dives, blood flow is strategically directed only to the vital organs that require oxygen, such as the brain, heart, fins, and certain essential muscles. Imagine a world beneath the waves, a realm of constant struggle and adaptation. When a fish finds itself in dire need of oxygen for swimming, its body makes a crucial decision. At that precise moment, only the muscles essential for propulsion receive the life-giving gas. Digestion and other less critical bodily functions are put on hold. The ocean is no tranquil pond. It's a relentless arena where survival demands unwavering vigilance. Even in sleep, there is no true rest. Fish reduce their activity to conserve energy, their metabolism slowing to a crawl. Some drift in place, suspended in the water column. Others seek refuge, finding sanctuary amongst the coral reefs or burying themselves in the muddy depths. Consider the dolphin, a creature of remarkable intelligence. Early in its life, each dolphin learns to emit a unique whistle, a sonic signature that allows members of its pod to identify it. These aren't just random sounds. They are individual names, and dolphins respond when they hear their own. Now, picture a clam. It possesses a foot, a fleshy appendage resembling a large tongue that occasionally extends from its shell. This is no ordinary tongue. It's a powerful limb, proportionally long for the animal's size. The clam uses this foot to burrow into the sand, anchoring itself against the relentless currents. And then there's the blue whale, Balænoptera musculus, the undisputed heavyweight champion of the animal kingdom. This colossal creature dwarfs even the largest dinosaurs that once roamed the earth. Blue whales can reach lengths exceeding 100 feet and weigh nearly 200 tons, the equivalent of 50 adult elephants. The tongue of a blue whale alone can weigh more than an entire elephant. Such a massive being requires an equally massive intake of energy, consuming 500,000 calories in a single gulp. The blue whale's heart, a biological marvel the size of a small car, weighs in at a staggering 1,300 pounds. The force of its contractions, pumping blood through its immense body, is so powerful that it can be heard from 2 meters away. Yet this giant heart beats only 8 to 10 times per minute. The whale is also one of the loudest creatures on the planet, its calls reaching up to 180 decibels, as deafening as a jet engine. In stark contrast, consider the jellyfish, an ethereal being composed of almost 95% water. Compare this to the human body, which is only about 60% water. Perhaps it's no surprise that jellyfish lack a heart, blood, eyes, or even a brain. The remaining 5% of their body consists of proteins, muscles, and nerve cells. Jellyfish are ancient mariners, their lineage stretching back over 500 million years, predating the dinosaurs. Remarkably, these creatures have remained largely unchanged. Today's jellyfish are virtually identical to their prehistoric ancestors. Though they are denizens of the ocean depths, in 1991, over 2,000 jellyfish polyps were launched into space. Scientists sought to observe their behavior in a zero-gravity environment. The jellyfish reproduced, creating 60,000 new polyps. But tragically, these offspring were unable to function normally upon their return to Earth. Intriguingly, one particular species of jellyfish possesses the potential for immortality. As it ages, this remarkable creature descends to the seafloor and reverts to its polyp stage, which then transforms into a new jellyfish genetically identical to the original. Then there's the Greenland shark, Somniosus microcephalus, a denizen of the icy depths, boasting one of the longest lifespans among vertebrates, up to 500 years. Sperm whales, Physeter macrocephalus, are sociable beings, living within tightly knit family groups. These animals exhibit remarkable cooperation, supporting one another and maintaining strong bonds, even after long periods of separation. Electric eels, meanwhile, navigate the murky depths using a different kind of sense. Their small eyes are poorly suited for dimly lit environments, so they rely primarily on their electric organs. These organs, composed of approximately 6,000 specialized cells, function like batteries, storing and discharging electrical energy. The eels use this electricity in a manner akin to bats using radar or dolphins using sonar. An eel can even generate enough electricity to illuminate a panel of light bulbs. Consider the archerfish, a small tropical fish with the surprising ability to recognize human faces. This fish possesses a unique hunting technique. It spits small jets of water from its mouth to knock insects from overhanging vegetation. Researchers presented these fish with images of two faces, one familiar and one unfamiliar. The fish consistently spat water at the familiar face with an accuracy rate exceeding 80%. Every winter, along the California coastline, great white sharks mysteriously vanish, seemingly embarking on a 30 to 40-day vacation. The sharks journey to a point midway between Hawaii and Mexico, an area now known as the Whale Shark Cafe. Their reasons for this pilgrimage remain unclear. Perhaps they seek a feeding opportunity, a place to relax, or a chance to socialize with sharks from other regions. Certain shark species, such as makos, whale sharks, and great white sharks, employ a specialized breathing technique that requires constant swimming. They must move continuously, with their mouths open, to force oxygenated water over their gills. Imagine a world beneath the waves, where sunlight filters through the surface, illuminating a realm of bizarre and wonderful creatures. Here, water flows freely into the bodies of the simplest of animals, reaching their gills and sustaining life. Behold the sea sponge, one of the most primitive inhabitants of our planet. These creatures are fixed in place, utterly immobile. They possess no mouth, no eyes to perceive light, no bones to provide structure, and no brain to process information. They lack a heart to pump fluids, lungs to breathe air, or any other organ as we understand them. And yet, they live and thrive. Now let's turn our attention to a creature of myth made real: the sea unicorn. This is the narwhal, Monodon monoceros, and its magnificent horn is actually a greatly elongated tooth. This tusk can grow to an astonishing length of up to 10 feet, a spiraled ivory spear projecting from its face. Drifting serenely through warmer waters, we find the manatees, gentle giants, also known as sea cows. These placid herbivores are surprisingly distant relatives of the elephant. An adult manatee can weigh up to 1,000 pounds. To sustain their massive bodies on a diet of seagrasses and aquatic plants, these creatures must consume around 10% of their body weight each day. That's an immense amount of sea salad for every manatee. In some regions, manatees share their aquatic habitats with alligators. Surprisingly, these very different creatures often coexist peacefully. There's even a famous photograph from Florida that appears to show an alligator hitching a ride on a manatee's back, a testament to their unusual tolerance. Now, observe the frogfish, a master of camouflage. These unique creatures possess specialized fins that allow them to walk along the sandy ocean floor. This adaptation is particularly useful in navigating the shallow waters where they hunt and hide. Keep your eyes peeled for the elusive ghost pipefish. These masters of disguise are incredibly difficult to spot, blending seamlessly with their surroundings. But should you be fortunate enough to see one, you're in for a surprise. The head of a ghost pipefish can make up over 40% of its total body length, a truly unusual proportion. Crabs, those sideways scuttling crustaceans, have no time for the niceties of conventional dining. Instead of using their mouths to taste food, they rely on taste buds located on their feet. Imagine tasting everything you eat with your feet. Venture to the Galapagos Islands, and you'll find the marine iguana, Amblyrhynchus cristatus, the only lizard species on Earth that spends significant time in the ocean. Although they primarily live on land, these remarkable reptiles are adapted for a life aquatic. They are herbivores, feeding on algae in the shallow coastal waters, and swim with a sinuous, snake-like motion. To maintain their grip on the slippery rocks while grazing, marine iguanas use their long, sharp claws to anchor themselves to the seabed. Witness the incredible journeys of green sea turtles, Colonia midas, as they undertake migrations spanning over 400 miles. Driven by an instinct to find the perfect nesting site, they traverse vast stretches of ocean to lay their eggs on ancestral shores. And what of penguins? These flightless birds are masters of underwater propulsion. They fly through the water with incredible speed and agility, reaching speeds of up to 25 miles per hour. Consider this. More than 5 million years ago, a vast gulf of time. Deep sea worms and humans shared a common ancestor. Even today, we share around 70% of our genes with these creatures, as well as with seemingly disparate organisms like sea stars, squids, and octopuses. The ocean covers over 70% of our planet's surface, and more than 80% of it remains unexplored. Within its depths, over 1 million species thrive, a testament to life's incredible diversity. But the ocean holds more than just living creatures. An estimated 3 million shipwrecks lie scattered across the ocean floor, each one a silent repository of forgotten stories. Many of these wrecks remain undiscovered, their mysteries waiting to be revealed.